Well, we have a warrant for your arrest, okay? So we're going to have to end up arresting you, and we're going to take you down to the jail today, okay?
I got some appointments. I think I'm supposed to...
You're not going to make those appointments, unfortunately. I'm sorry.
This is 80-year-old Mary Jo Bailey. For the last 40 years, she has been on the run after committing a heinous crime.
The killing of Yvonne Menke shook the community she lived in to its core.
Now she will try to lie her way out of this one final time.
We have at least one eyewitness who saw the suspect.
I honest to God don't remember.
But little does she know, there is no escaping her past.
The district attorney's office is ready to file charges against you for homicide.
In the quiet early morning hours of December 12, 1985, 45-year-old Yvonne Menke was getting ready for what should have been just another routine day at work. She lived with her daughter Julie in an apartment in the small, peaceful town of St. Croix Falls, Wisconsin. But this morning was destined to be tragically different. Shortly after 6 a.m., Yvonne left her apartment to go warm up her car, and this is when everything went wrong. As soon as Yvonne left, Julie heard a whip-like noise coming from where Yvonne's car was parked. Just 10 seconds later, she heard another of those whipping sounds. Alarmed, Julie rushed to look outside from a small bathroom window, and what she saw can only be described as a tragedy. In the stairwell, Yvonne Menke was shot dead, and some distance away, an individual was fleeing the scene. Approximately 5'9", broad shoulders, wearing a gray dress coat with a paper bag in their right hand. By 6:23 a.m., the Polk County Sheriff's Office arrived at the scene, but it was far too late. The killer had already vanished without a trace. As for Yvonne, there was no saving her. She had been shot a total of 3 times with a .22 caliber firearm, with examiners suspecting that the last 2 were fired in an execution style, with the killer standing over her. But who could murder Yvonne so brutally, and what did they have against her? After all, they stayed long enough to make sure that they finished the job. The only person of interest was Mary Jo Bailey. According to Julie and the other 2 daughters, Yvonne was entangled in a complex love triangle with a man named Jack at its center for nearly 8 years. The 2 had an on-again, off-again relationship, as Jack was also seeing Mary Jo, a woman he had met at a horse show several years before. The feelings of jealousy and competition only grew stronger between the 2 women. One of Yvonne's co-workers even stated that Yvonne wanted to punch Mary Jo because of what was going on. But by late 1985, it seemed like Jack had made his choice between the 2 women. By September of that year, he broke up with Mary Jo and became rather close with Yvonne, leaving the only possible suspect to be Mary Jo. But there was only one problem. Mary Jo had an airtight alibi. According to her, she was on vacation and wasn't anywhere close to Yvonne. Other witnesses even testified that although there was competition between her and Yvonne, Mary Jo was neither the kind of person to be caught up in her emotions, nor was she overwhelmed by feelings of jealousy. For the next 24 years, until 2009, investigators searched for evidence linking Mary Jo to the crime, but ultimately, the lack of concrete proof caused the case to go cold. It was only 12 years later, in 2021, that the investigation was relaunched, and by January 26, 2023, detectives came knocking at Mary Jo's door for one last time. The following footage has been provided to us by the Polk County Sheriff's Office, Wisconsin.
Hey, Mary Jo. Good morning. Thank you.
Thanks. How was your day trip yesterday?
Oh, it was fine.
Good.
Sorry, we are running late.
Yeah.
It's my fault. Not these guys. They were on time.
Okay, have a seat. I moved the cat.
Oh, okay.
Is the sun? I don't think it's
No, I'm good. Thank you. Appreciate it. I'm wondering if you can talk to me a little bit about Jack's family, and more specifically, back in like '85, the dynamics of like.
I knew his mom and dad. The sisters weren't around.
Okay.
His mom and dad were both alive at that time, and well, he had been out of work for a long time. He worked at Champion Aircraft, and when they left, he never found another job. I think that was some of his mental issues, and he stayed on the farm, and he thought he was going to inherit the farm. That's what kind of thought, from what I understood.
Okay.
And then his mom passed away, and no, his dad passed away first. Then his mom, because this was over many years, but and then he found out he wasn't getting the whole farm.
Okay.
And then that's when he married this gal. She had money and whatnot, and went to where the son lives in Montana, Eureka, Montana.
Sure. So now you're the gal, that's Linda, right?
Yeah, the one he's married to. Yeah, or he
Yeah.
passed away, I guess, a couple of years ago now,
Yeah,
something
yeah,
like that.
yeah.
Somebody said.
Okay.
Linda is Jack's wife. By the time the investigation was relaunched, Jack had already passed away. But Linda was fortunately still around, and just a month before this interview, on December 2nd, 2022, detectives questioned her and hit the mother lode. Jack initially met Linda through their mutual interest in horses in 1989, 4 years after Yvonne's murder, but was still bouncing between her and Mary Jo. Over time, Jack and Linda's relationship settled, leaving no room for Mary, and this is when things began to go wrong. Mary Jo was obsessed. Sometime after 1989, she broke into the couple's residence, not to ransack it, but to vandalize any and all pictures of Jack and Linda. Not only that, but early into their relationship, Linda received 2 threatening phone calls and discovered nails in her vehicle tires. The assailant called her and told her, "If you know what's good for you, leave Jack alone." Despite this level of obsession, Mary Jo pretended to be completely normal to everybody else. So much so that she got married to another man, who we will call Witness 20, all the while she was keeping tabs on Linda. Luckily, it didn't take long for Witness 20 to find out what Mary Jo was really like, and the two divorced. So will Mary Jo keep her troubled history a secret, or will she spill the beans?
So in 85, is Jack living by himself at the farm, or he's living
No,
with
his parents are
His
there.
parents
Yeah,
are there
his
too.
parents are
Okay. And then the sister is, I think, Nancy and Vivian, right? Did I get those?
And Nancy and Vivian, and then there was one that was, I think, was adopted.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah,
you're right.
she had a little slow mental or whatever, anyway. And she lived, I think, Siren, Danbury or someplace.
Okay. Where did Vivian and Nancy live at the time, if you remember?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I never,
Locally, do you think?
I thought one was maybe in the Twin Cities,
Okay.
Vivian, and then Nancy, she was someplace else. I don't know, Michigan. I can't tell you
Yeah.
for sure.
Do you remember, and I always say back then, you know the time frame I'm looking for, the 85 range. Do you remember having a lot of interactions with the sisters? Were they around much?
No,
No. Okay. You had met them though before?
I hadn't met them yet.
Okay, okay. That's the interesting thing about the reports, is just trying to figure out the family dynamics, because Yvonne, of course, is the one we're
Concerned about,
we're
yes.
concerned about, right? She was a cousin, or
Yeah, I think they were
reportedly
related.
a
Yeah, I
cousin,
think they
yeah.
were related, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So, do you remember ever having any conversations with Nancy, or even Jack for that matter, or Vivian, anybody, about Yvonne and Jack's relationship and how the cousin
No,
thing was an issue?
No.
Never talked about that, or Jack never talked about that?
no.
Okay. Alright. Anything more on that, Mark? We were just talking on the way up, just trying to get the family structure down a little bit better than what the reports laid out, so. Back to Yvonne a little bit. And I don't read into this, but our job is to go through the reports and to clarify what some of these investigators meant back then, because some of them aren't around anymore, right?
Yeah.
So we're reading reports that are 30-some years old. The phone call stuff. So yesterday we talked a little bit about that, and there's this phone call between you and Yvonne, and correct me if I'm wrong, in like 1983, where,
It could have been,
Could have been.
I have no idea anymore.
and that was the call where you and Yvonne kind of talk about.
Well, yeah, we found out what he was doing.
Yeah,
Yeah, basically.
Yep, right, and you talk about it, and
Yeah.
and then yesterday you mentioned that there was a phone call with Yvonne, or you made to Yvonne, where you're looking for Jack.
Yeah, that was the night I was supposed to be out there to ride, and he wasn't there.
Okay. Do you remember if you actually talked to Yvonne, or if that was a...
No, I think I just asked for him.
Okay, so someone did answer the phone.
Yeah, I think it would have been her problem. I mean, I
Okay.
assume. I don't know if some kids were living with her at that time. She
Okay.
got children, I think, and
Yeah.
so I don't know if they were there or not.
Okay.
To an extent, this is true. Yvonne's son James was not interviewed in the 1980s. However, in 2022, he reported that the Mink household often received strange calls in the years leading up to the murder, sometimes 3 to 4 times a day. The voice on the other side, muffled and distorted, would always ask about where Yvonne and Jack were. This pattern of odd calls lasted until just a day or two before Yvonne's murder. In an initial statement from Julie, she mentioned receiving a strange phone call from a woman on December 10th at approximately 6:50 a.m. This time, the woman on the other side didn't ask about Jack. She asked what times Yvonne left for work. 2 days later, Yvonne was killed when she was leaving for work. Mary Jo was now the only woman in Jack's life, and he was hers for the taking.
Yvonne dies in December of '85. I keep using that as a timestamp because that's the easiest thing to remember
Yeah.
back then. After Yvonne dies, you and Jack continue your business relationship, but it's not physical.
Not till next summer when we actually started showing horses again.
Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
we still belonged to some of the clubs,
Okay.
so we ran in, or, like that, but we didn't start any riding till, well, summer or whenever, started working horses again. I don't remember that year, because it was 85, I can't remember. I had my own horses, I was not working, and I don't remember, I honest to God don't remember. Or if he came to some of the shows that I saw, but I just don't think I was working with him, was sharing transportation at that time.
Mm-hmm.
I just cannot remember for sure which years.
You guys weren't romantically involved?
No.
Okay.
We're still friends and
Yeah.
whatnot, and
Yeah.
yeah, because I think he used to do some shoeing for me, if I remember back there at one time.
Mm-hmm.
And then still, I was keep looking at that horse because I was thinking that was the one I was riding at the time. And he came to some of the big shows to see how all of us were doing. You know, he knew a lot of people.
And do you continue that business relationship with Jack that you don't get involved with him romantically?
Not romantically, but for
Yeah.
years we still stayed friends.
Yep.
And I do remember the one time when he got sick, he called me because I was working at my daughter's. Oh my God, that would be years after, maybe even. And I didn't even recognize his voice on the phone. And he said, when you come back, can you stop over and bring me some crutches? And I thought, what in the world? So I went over, and he was really sick. I took him to emergency. And then I didn't hear anything. Then he was in the hospital for a few days, and when I came back, then I stopped, and he was in the hospital, and they said he was tearing out the IV lines. He was tearing out the, what do you call the other lines? Anyway, they said, we can't do anything with him. So I said, well, I can take him back home. I don't know what else, because he was refusing everything. And that's when his sister Nancy came down then, too.
Okay.
But I was doing all the chores out there with the horses and stuff, and we had some neighbors and some other people that I knew, friends of his, to get the hay in that year. Because he was down out about 3 months. He had something with his blood. I can't remember what it was, but I know I did all the chores and stuff until he got feeling better, and then goes, he got feeling better, he got ornery, and I left.
Yeah, right.
That's his personality.
Let me quickly translate Killer Grandma for you from "it wasn't his personality" to "I wanted to manipulate him." This is because Linda, Jack's wife, actually asked him what his relationship was with Mary Jo and why he kept going back to her after what happened. In response, Jack said that he felt tainted when Yvonne's murder took place and thought no one would want him anymore besides Mary Jo. And Mary Jo took full advantage of these feelings as she continued to try to pursue him because for her, having no competition anymore was a dream come true. Then Jack met Linda, and Mary Jo's plans went up in flames. Only this time, she wouldn't resort to murder and try to move on.
Aside from the girl in Minnesota that we talked about, anybody else that Jack was dating, if you know, leading up to Linda? I know at some point Linda comes in, right?
Yeah, I don't even remember then because because I met Dave, the guy I married, my second husband, and I had been dating him. That was 89, 88 or
Yeah.
89 when I met him.
Okay.
I can't remember exactly, I'm not sure.
Yeah, yeah.
The girl you saw that time, tall, slender, dark hair, was that Linda Nissen?
No.
Or are we talking somebody else?
No, that was somebody else.
Okay.
Because Linda didn't live that far away,
Uh-huh.
and this girl I know was in Minnesota because I
Okay.
remember. Yeah, that's all I can remember about that. And then his dad made the comment he had to pull him home because his car or truck quit or something when he was over there. I said to kind of laugh.
Before listening to any more of Mary Jo's ramblings, it is very important to understand a particular statement she made in her first interview in 1985. Initially, Mary Jo admitted that she owned a .22 pistol with a .38 frame, but in late fall of 1985, she gave the pistol to a friend, Jim, because she wanted to sell it off. Unsurprisingly, Jim wasn't just a friend, but also one of Mary Jo's past lovers. However, the two still saw each other socially. Besides the .22 pistol, Mary also had a Remington .22 rifle, which she showed officers at the time. So, owning not one, but two weapons with the same caliber that Yvonne was killed with isn't exactly a good look. But how will Mary Jo weasel her way out of this one?
So, Jim Moore, remember yesterday when I came in, I said we're investigating a tip with Jim Moore. So I'm going to go into that a little bit, okay? So back reading the police reports, there's a lot of talk about a gun. That,
Oh yeah, because I was trying to sell mine. What did I have at the time now? That was it's the .22 pistol I got yet. And Jim was going to try and sell it for me. He knew people. And so, but he gave me his .22 rifle in case I needed it. And because I had rats coming across my, down the road there was a farm, and then he had a garbage dump, which was right on my fence line. And when it got cold, the rats started coming. So I was shooting the rats before they got in my barn.
oh, okay. All right.
So he had it.
And that was the rifle.
I had the rifle at that time then. He had my gun,
Okay.
the pistol.
Okay. And you were shooting the rifle at the rats.
Well, I
and-
don't know that I ever had to use it. And because some had gotten in the barn one time too, and a skunk I had to chase out. But I don't think I ever used it.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it was there if I needed it,
I see.
but I didn't use it. I never had a reason
Okay.
to use it.
Okay. So the .22 pistol that's referenced in the reports.
Yeah, Jim had it at his
Jim had
place.
that.
Yeah.
And that was originally yours that you gave to Jim. Am I getting that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I have it back.
I got you. So
Yeah.
that's the gun that eventually came back to you. Did Jim
Yeah.
give it back to you then? Or did
My
Mark-
sister-in-law went and picked up, because they took all my brother's guns, rifles and all. I mean, he did hunting and whatnot. They took all his guns. I think they took anything Jim had. I don't know what else, or who else,
Okay.
actually. But I know, I remember my brothers.
Okay.
What was your brother's name again?
Raymond.
Okay, yeah, right.
Yeah. Okay, I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah.
The .22 gun that you have now and the one that we're talking about is what? Do you remember what kind of it is? It's a Ruger.
This is Smith and Wesson.
Smith and Wesson. Just because there's a lot of guns talked about in the report, so I'm just trying to keep it all straight.
Yeah.
And that's a revolver. Or
Pistol revolver, yeah.
yeah.
It's I think it's on a bigger frame. It looks bigger than what it is supposed to.
That makes sense. Okay.
And I only carry it, well, when I was traveling, I had that big living quarters horse trailer. It was a 3-horse, it was 14,000 pound. That's the one I was traveling with back and forth. And when I had to sleep at night, I had that on my pillow because I had to sleep in my camper, but I mean, it's in by myself. I could put my horse in a stall, but I had that there just in case.
I see. Okay. So you gave it to Jim. Jim gives you the rifle. Was there some talk about Jim was going to trying to sell the pistol?
Yeah,
or-
I said if he could sell it. I said, I thought I'd rather have a rifle, just a .22 rifle.
Mhm.
And it'd be easier, I just don't, I'm not big on guns anyway,
Mhm.
but in my divorce, that's the one I wound up with.
Oh, I see.
So-
Okay.
Because actually, the other .22 rifle we had was supposed to be mine, but he got it, so that's okay, I'll take the other.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
So the pistol is the one you wound up with in the divorce,
Yeah,
that's what it is?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Right.
because it's old, I don't know how long my husband had, I don't even remember, he got it a long time ago.
Right. All right. And the rifle, did law enforcement seize that, or did that get back to Jim's? If you know.
Yeah, yeah, they got it all straightened out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they got it all straightened out. Everybody got the ones back. I got my pistol back, he got his rifle back, my brother got all his back.
Right. Do you remember what your conversations were with Jim back then when all this talk about guns being submitted to the police department and...
Yeah, we were kind of wondering why they were taking every size and shape they could get a hold of.
Okay. So you did talk to Jim about some of that stuff?
Well, yeah.
Yeah, I would think so, right?
Yeah,
Because
we all talked about it, my brother.
Yeah.
And it's like, what in the world? You know, they're taking everything we got.
Yeah,
Any gun of any size and shape for 'em.
yeah. Because I think Jim had more guns taken from him, or he submitted. I shouldn't say taken.
Yeah,
from
he
him.
submitted them.
Right,
So did my brother.
Yeah.
Because my brother had a lot of guns.
Did that ever make Jim mad? Did he ever talk about it, or he
No, I
just was
figured,
just
you
doing-
know, what's the purpose? I mean, we know it's none of these,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
so why not? I mean, why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Would be the question.
Yeah. Right. Okay. How about any of the other, like Linda Larson's name comes up a lot in the reports? Have you
Yeah,
talked
she
to
was
her?
my friend. No, I haven't talked to her in a long time.
Okay.
She kind of got out of the horses
Mhm.
herself, because that was her plan. Because we showed together for 40 years, I think it was.
Okay.
And then she kind of went into the paints, and then I got into the Morgans. So we were still friends, but we didn't show together anymore because we were going different ways.
Tell me about Linda. Was she someone that you would always consider to be kind of honorable and truthful, or was she?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
The Linda that detectives refer to here is Linda, Mary Jo's friend, not to be confused with the other Linda, Jack's wife. When this Linda was initially interviewed in the 80s, she was on Mary Jo's side, stating that she could never do something like this. It was only 37 years later, in December 2022, that she revealed something so important that this entire reinvestigation was turned upside down, and something that detectives are about to confront Mary Jo with.
So Jim Moore, there is a tip that was brought forward that I don't even know a timeline. I'll say shortly after Yvonne was killed, whatever that means.
Yeah.
Right. That you brought some clothes to Jim Moore's house, and either you burned the clothes at Jim Moore's house or Jim Moore burned them for you. I think the tip is not necessarily that specific, but the tip is from someone who we've interviewed and we've vetted pretty thoroughly. So there's a degree of confidence behind the tip, right?
Yeah. I
Um,
do not remember anything, but
Okay. Did you ever? What would be the reason for someone to come forward to law enforcement and say that all these years later?
I have no idea.
Okay. Did you at any point go to Jim Moore's house and burn any clothes?
No, I never burned anything. I mean, I was out there on and off, but I
Yeah.
never did anything like that.
Did you have Jim? Did you ask Jim to burn any clothes for you?
Not that not that I ever remember. I don't know that it would have, unless there were some old rags or something like that, that it's something to get rid of. But I can't think of anything.
Just full disclosure, we've talked to Jim. Jim lives in California.
Oh,
So we've talked to Jim, and we have an interview with Jim, and we've confronted him on the same thing. And this is where I'm not going to tell you what some of the stuff I can't tell you,
oh yeah.
but I will tell you
understand
straightforward that we've talked to Jim
that. Yeah, okay.
about this very tip. So there's law enforcement has reason to believe that there is some truth to what was told to us. And our goal here at the end of the day, Mary, can I call you Mary or Mary Jo? Do you prefer?
I usually go by Mary Jo.
Mary Jo, okay. So our goal here at the end of the day is this. We want closure. That's what we want, right? The Minky family wants closure. We've talked to the Minky family. The district attorney wants closure. Everybody wants closure. It's 37 years, right? That's a lot of time, okay? And I've even had discussions with our DA's office where our DA's office would be like, you know what? If we can get some closure, we have a lot of leeway in terms of how we resolve whatever we resolve, okay? I mean, we've had those conversations with the DA's office, right? Nobody's expecting anybody in this case to say, person A, you're responsible, you're going to prison for the rest of your life. That hasn't been brought up, nor would it be brought up. But we do have a job to try to get that closure, okay? So there is no secret that we're here to talk to you and confront you on some of the things that have come up,
Sure.
because that's our job, okay? So we have this tip that came in that's been thoroughly vetted, and like I told you, there is some reason to believe from the law enforcement side, there's some confidence behind this tip that something happened at Jim's house, right? So we wanted to ask you about it because that's how we roll, okay?
This other Linda admitted that not only did Mary Jo give Jim the .22 to sell, but also clothes to burn right after Yvonne's murder. But maybe all of this can be chalked down to coincidence, and Mary Jo was doing the wrong things at the wrong time. That is, until one finds out that Mary Jo left behind a crucial piece of evidence at the crime scene.
In addition to, over the years, because we're now in 2023 and we're no longer in 1985, technology has advanced. I mean, anybody who watches Dateline knows that DNA and fingerprint and touch and trace evidence and fiber evidence is different now than what it was.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Genealogy, all that stuff. When we took over the case, Mark and I focused on that probably more than anything, because that's just the new technology. There's some forensic technology that has also aided our case, okay? And it suggests, with a reasonable degree of certainty, that the boot prints in the snow that were found that morning, remember we talked about the Arctic Cat boots?
Yep.
Do you remember the Arctic Cat boots?
I had many pairs of boots.
But the boots that you turned over, do you remember turning those boots over to law enforcement?
I don't remember specifically, no.
Okay, all right.
Because I had probably 3 or 4 pairs of boots.
Okay. So those boots were submitted to the crime lab. And now with technology being what it is, there's a reasonable degree of certainty that those boots match the boots left in the
Size print or something like that?
Yeah.
When Yvonne was killed, there was a boot print in the snow to the west of Yvonne's body. More important than the print itself was the word Arctic etched into the snow. In her very first interview with cops, Mary Jo showed detectives a pair of size 5 Arctic Cat snowmobile boots. In 1986, when the forensics were run on the boots, the examiner strongly believed that the shoe print and Mary Jo's boots were consistent in basic size and tread surface design. However, there were no precise characteristics that could once and for all prove that the footprint came directly from Mary Jo. So while this was the only piece of evidence detectives had in the 80s, the lack of better forensic technology meant the investigation slowed down for 36 years until 2021.
So, obviously from an investigator standpoint, that leads us to ask you, if you were at the crime scene, what's the other logical explanation as to why your boot print is in the snow next to the body? Maybe there is another
Yeah, I
explanation.
was going to
and
say,
what would that
could it
be?
have been somebody that had another boot similar to that? Size-wise? I mean, or
Well,
whatever. I don't remember what the
yeah, so
prints are or anything. I mean, I don't know what they are, what they look like.
So what they did is they took your boots and then they matched it to a sulfur cast of the print. So they not only look at the size, but they look at the wear pattern, the tread pattern. I mean, a lot of individual characteristics about shoes or boots. Like if I take my shoes out, you know, the bottom of my shoe is going to tell a lot of things. It's going to tell wear pattern. It's going to tell most likely at least a general manufacturing date, you know, because shoes change, right? The manufacturer changes the brand over the years. So then through that information, the lab is able to make an opinion, and then we go to Articat, and Articat says, oh yeah, that specific boot is this model, and during this time frame, they only sold these amount to the general population, and this specific size is, the chances are, you know, X amount that this specific boot was sold in this region. You know what I mean? Like you start to do kind of the statistical analysis, the probability that this boot is the same boot that left the print is pretty freaking high.
Was the print right there at her place?
Right there, right by the body, and then there was another print that was found down the alleyway, and that is in the same location that we have at least one eyewitness who saw the suspect.
Oh.
That has a very, very consistent physical description with you.
Well, I know they took my long gray coat,
Yeah.
and I seem to think that's what that person had on.
Right. So, right now we're operating on the very strong belief that that your boots, the boots that were found in your house, are the same boots that were found next to the body. So, am I right?
I'm saying, I guess
How
they're
did that
not.
happen?
They're not.
Okay. Would there be any other explanation as to how that would happen?
I don't know. It could be somebody else had boots like them. I don't know. They weren't mine. I mean, I was not there, those prints. And I don't, like I say, I don't remember. And they took my long gray coat, so I assumed that's what they were looking for, somebody with a long gray coat. And they never gave it back to me.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know.
Okay.
That's what they took for a coat. That's the coats I have.
Okay. Well, there's some other DNA evidence that is out there that we're probably going to keep pretty tight to the vest, just because that's our case, right? So, Mark and I came with the goal of talking to you and from an adult to an adult addressing some of these concerns, okay? One of the best ways that we go about our investigation, because this isn't the first case we work other cases.
Oh, yeah.
You know? One of the best things we do to try to eliminate or support whether or not someone was involved or they weren't involved is we ask them to take a polygraph. Is that something that you would be open to?
I was told before never to do that.
Okay.
And that's why I didn't before either.
Okay. How about now? Is there any? Do you have any thoughts on that? We have an FBI guy who that's literally all he does. He travels everywhere to do polygraphs. He's actually in town.
I don't feel, like I say, because I was told before not to.
Okay.
And by the attorney I had at that time.
Okay. All right.
So I guess I have to
You understand why we're asking,
I
right?
understand
Because
why you're asking.
when it comes to eliminating or supporting or excluding people,
But the polygraph isn't always accurate, that's the thing.
I'm not a polygraph examiner.
I know, that's
so
what I've been
so I
told,
can't.
and I've heard of instances, and that's where it makes me leery.
Sure. I'm not a polygraph examiner, so I can't really say much about that. I don't know what the statistics are. I can just tell you, in my experience, it's been a really good tool that law enforcement uses to steer in different directions, right? Like
I used to years ago, but like I
I
said, then after, and my attorney at that time telling me
Sure.
it's not a
Yeah.
good idea.
Yeah.
You know,
And they said it's-
usually when someone passes a poly, the way that helps us is we can just eliminate somebody and move on to something else so that we're not chasing our
Oh, I
tail.
understand that, I
Yeah.
understand that.
Polygraph tests are usually not admissible in court in some states because of their questionable reliability. This is because these measure a person's physiological responses, which could vary for many reasons other than lying, for example, nervousness or blood pressure. In some states, however, they may be allowed entirely or under certain proceedings. Regardless, this detective will still try his absolute best to convince Mary Jo to take one.
Polygraphs, the actual exam itself is not admissible in court. Can't use it in court.
Yeah, that's right, I
Yep,
understand saying
right.
that.
So, obviously, I'm coming at it from one side, right? I'm coming at it from a biased angle, but there's kind of really nothing to lose by taking it, right? It's not admissible in court, no matter what. The benefit is for someone who passes a polygraph, then that examiner comes to the investigator or investigators and says, yeah, she was being truthful.
Well, the
probably-
thing
you
is, I've
probably
heard
are
of that
sniffing up
though,
the
that
wrong
people
tree.
can pass them, so they, you know, I mean, that's, I've heard that way too, that they can pass them. So
Mm-hmm.
that doesn't eliminate you either.
It doesn't, but there's a level of confidence that goes along with the polygraphs that are currently being run in 2023 with the technology and also the examiner. I just know the examiner that I work with. The
Oh, yeah.
examiner that I work with is freaking awesome. So I put a lot of confidence in him. But it's just one of the tools that we use. So if you're not comfortable with it, that's fine. That's totally your choice. Obviously, there's no, you have to do it or you don't have to do it. But it's just one of our tools. So I'm going to
Yeah,
offer
well, I
it because we
understand
have a
that.
guy that's ready if you're willing to do it.
No, I don't feel comfortable
Okay,
with it.
okay.
And like I said, being my attorney said I shouldn't
Okay.
before, the one my attorney
Okay.
had.
One of the other things we wanted to do would be, would you submit to giving us your DNA? Because when we look back at the case file, in '85, DNA technology wasn't what it is now, although there's some different things that are in motion that I can't elaborate on. But we don't have your DNA in a sense where someone has collected a buccal swab from you, which is what we would ask to do today. So that would be another part of our investigative process. Would you submit to us collecting?
I'd have to talk to an attorney first before because I don't know enough about this stuff. I would have
Okay.
to actually talk to an attorney,
Okay,
I think.
okay. What is it that concerns you about that?
I don't know, it's just I don't feel comfortable.
Okay.
I don't know how to explain that.
Because you can understand from my standpoint, certainly no disrespect, but I mean, I've been doing this for 17 years and I've handled a lot of cases.
Well,
Maybe
wouldn't they
not
have gotten
exactly yours,
DNA
but
out of all that stuff that they took from me?
I can't confirm or deny that they haven't.
Yeah, because there would be DNA all over that.
We have certain ways that we go about our job, right? And certain requests that are sometimes made by crime labs and such, where that's just a part of our process to be thorough. So
Oh, yeah,
you certainly wouldn't be the first person that I've ever asked for a DNA sample, and you won't be the last. You know, DNA is just that's just kind of 2023 law enforcement these days, right? My discussion with most people is like, well, if you didn't have anything to do with it, you weren't there, then that would be a way for you to exclude yourself as opposed to include yourself, right? Just like the polygraph. So the benefit for you, of course, I'm
Okay,
talking
then
from a law
my
enforcement.
thing was my DNA's on those boots. You got it there.
I can't get into the.
But I mean, you've already got it. To me, you've already got it.
I can't get into the science part of it,
Yeah,
but remember when I tell you that I'm not going to lie to you.
Oh, no, I know,
So
I know. But I
there's
mean, that's what I'm thinking. You've got it already. That goes at my boots, right?
Well,
And if they're proved that they're there,
well, your understanding of DNA is probably based on Dateline NBC, and it's different in real life than it is on the movies.
it's on all your clothes and everything.
Can't get into that.
Yeah.
Trust
I
me, DNA is just different than probably what the average person believes is true, right? There's some fact and fiction that comes along with DNA. So there's a reason why we're asking, and there's a reason why I would ask anybody in your shoes that may or may not be a person of interest. Let's be honest, you're a person of interest,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Right? Anybody who had any type of relationship and or close connection and or connection, 3 layers of possibilities to Yvonne at the time, which there really aren't a lot of people when you break it all down. You're a person of interest, just like other people who are on that same list, right? So we're just doing our due diligence to either include or exclude those individuals. And because of the presence of DNA investigative leads that we're pursuing, obtaining your DNA sample would be beneficial to the case, right? Either to include or exclude.
Despite being 80 years old, Mary Jo isn't as dumb as she looks, because even though she has been pushed into a corner, she knows exactly what to do to turn the tables on these detectives.
As I say, I want to talk to an attorney
Okay.
and feel safe with whatever they say.
Okay. Because we weren't sure what you're going to say yes or no on that. I mean, we just don't know. We do have a warrant that Steve has, and that's what the designed to do is get a warrant in for your DNA. Because we weren't sure if you would say yes or no. We just have to have that in our back pocket, right? Because I don't want to fly back out to Arizona. So we do have a warrant to get your DNA. I'll let Steve explain the process. It's pretty easygoing process. Yeah, it's not like anything like you have to get to a hospital or anything like that. But just so you know, because I'm a straight shooter, I told you I'd be a straight shooter. We do have that, and we'll have to at some point collect that. Okay?
Yeah, like I say, I will have to get an attorney then to talk to them about it.
Okay, about the DNA?
Well, I
Or about
imagine,
just-
yes, I
about
imagine I should to be on the safe side for myself.
Are you okay to continue to have a conversation, or are you just want to consult with the attorney?
I'd have to consult them about it and see what they say.
Okay, so can I continue to talk to you about my interview, or do you want to consult with an attorney before you continue?
I don't know, is there much left?
Yeah, I have a couple things left. But I don't want to misunderstand what you're saying either, so.
Yeah, like I say, I don't know enough about it either. I want to be sure that it's okay, or that they say it's okay or not, or what, or I'm not.
How about this? Just to make sure that I understand what you're telling me, because I am not into violating people's rights. That's not what I do. I want to continue to talk to you about this case. Are you okay continuing to talk to me without an attorney present, or do you wish to consult with one?
I don't know, but this is the point where I need to do that.
I can't give you any legal
Yeah,
advice, so I just kind of need a yes or no, because for your benefit, I don't want to violate anything. I don't want to be misconstrued as someone who is dirty or anything like that. So I'm going to need you to kind of give me some direction on that. I have no problem continuing to talk to you.
Well,
but
let's just continue talking and see what you've got there,
Okay,
and we can do that.
okay. So you're okay talking without an attorney at this
Yeah,
point?
at this point,
Okay.
we'll just.
You understand at any point you can say timeout,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Okay, all right. So we talked about the DNA. And really, from a question standpoint, I don't have a whole lot more. I just kind of want to give you my sense of things, if you're willing to listen, okay? And unless, Mark, do you have any questions?
I think we're covering just about everything that we talked about.
Okay. So, keeping in mind that I try to be a straight shooter as best I can, and also keeping in mind that I'm just doing a job, and none of this, I don't go about my job trying to be disrespectful, ever. I'm just a straight shooter.
No, you haven't been.
So please keep that in mind, okay, with what I'm about to say, okay? There's a lot going on in this case, and we've uncovered a lot in this case, okay? 37 years is a long time, and on one hand, that hinders a case. When you take it over because of the timeline, people's memories fade, people die. But on the other hand, technology gets better, okay, than it was back in '85. And some people actually come forward and say, you know what, I didn't tell you this back then because I was scared, because I knew the people involved, whatever. I mean, insert whatever excuse, the reason why they didn't tell us back then. Well, now they've come forward with some information that they didn't come with back then. All of those things that are going on, remember I've talked to Jim Moore, or
Yeah.
we've talked to Jim Moore, right? Statements that have come forward that we've since learned since we opened up this case. The DNA technology, all of that stuff. The district attorney's office is ready to file charges against you for homicide.
Showing so much attitude while being a suspected murderer is a testament to how emotionally stone cold Mary Jo really is. Not once in this entire interview did she deny accusations of homicide, let alone show any remorse or guilt towards the victims in this situation. But that won't stop the detective from making one last attempt to squeeze out the truth from her, hoping to solve this case after 38 years.
Remember what I said earlier. I have talked to the Minky family, and I have talked to the DA. We absolutely do not have any desire to slam our fist on the table and say, we want her to go to prison for the rest of her life. As a matter of fact, prison, for all I know, isn't even on the table. I don't know, that's not my deal. I'm not an attorney. I'm an investigator. I can just tell you what the conversations are. Our number one goal is that we want closure. That's it. 37 years of living with this. Not only the family, but you and everybody involved. I can't imagine the gravity that you and others have on your shoulders all of this time. It's got to be insane, and I know that because I've handled other cases similar to this. At the end of the day, closure is closure. So our proposal to the DA's office is to kind of almost give you a couple options, and I want you to think about it. You don't have to answer, just giving it to you, okay? Option number one is get a hold of an attorney. Talk to the attorney. Have your attorney contact our DA. And then some back channel stuff happens, whatever attorneys do. and the case goes the way the case goes. And that could be some sort of a global resolution on probation. I don't know. That's not my deal. I'm not a lawyer. My point is, you know, if this was a different scenario and someone was being charged with homicide, the marshal service would be coming, people would be put in a van, brought to a jail, waiting extradition, going from jail to jail to jail until you get back to Wisconsin, probably given high bond, and you never know, you might never see the light of day again, right? This isn't one of those scenarios. We're not proposing any of that, okay? We're proposing resolution and we're proposing closure. That's what we're proposing. Now, with that being said, if option A doesn't work, and if option A doesn't happen, for whatever reason, and the only option we have left is option B, which is what I just described, that might happen too. But I want you to know that that's not our goal. Our goal is option A. Our goal is to get this resolved as quietly and as maybe as quietly as possible. I'll just stick with quietly, okay? So that closure at the end of the day occurs for everybody involved. You've lived a great life. Nobody is denying that. You talked about your grandkids. I've done enough research to know that you're not public enemy number one. It's not like you're out there causing any problems, okay? That goes a long way, right? That goes a long way. People made a mistake at one point in their life. That's a mistake. Can't go back on it. Wish we could. It is what it is. But there's a big difference between someone who makes one mistake in life and someone who makes a mistake and then the next week they make another and the next week they make another and then they continue down that road. Well, that's not you. Or 37 years later, you have a home in Arizona, you have another home in Wisconsin. Sounds like you have a great family network. You're certainly not in that public enemy number one pool. You know what I'm saying? So that's my spiel. Our spiel is that's what we're looking for. And I can't elaborate more on the evidence, only to tell you, face to face, eye to eye, we have more evidence than what we had in 1985. And to the point where the district attorney's office is ready to charge.
Okay.
And that's a pretty high burden, you know? So we want to find a way to get this resolved. Okay?
Yeah.
All right? Certainly you can elaborate if you want, or tell me what you're thinking. I'm
I
here
still
to-
think I need to talk some legal advice. I don't know.
Sure,
I
sure. I
don't
get that.
feel competent either way
Yeah, I get
till
that.
I know. I just really need to know.
Yeah, yep, absolutely, absolutely, and that is definitely you're right. Mark, I don't know if you know Mark much, but Mark is a former DA and defense attorney.
That's kind of what I bring to the table
what-
in this partnership.
Yeah, that's why we brought, not why, one of the many reasons why we brought Mark involved, other than he's handsome and he's intelligent. But Mark brings the legal aspect of it, right? And he knows way more about what I just talked to you about.
Oh,
than
yeah,
I do.
I'm sure he does.
So
yeah.
Mark, if you want, if I didn't
Just-
effectively.
Yeah, let me just ask you this, Mary Jo. Now, we don't know for sure what the DA is going to do, but we do know that he's close and he's made some representations to us that he's ready to go on this thing. Now, when a DA files a criminal complaint, there are two ways that DA can go. He can file a complaint on a warrant, which means somebody gets arrested, they're brought to the courthouse, or he can file it on a summons, which is basically, here's the criminal complaint, and here's when you need to be in court to answer to it. Assuming that the DA does charge you, we'd like to be able to advise him on which way to go. If he does charge you, are you willing to come back to Wisconsin and appear in court on the charges, or does the DA need to file a warrant?
Yeah, I've got so many doctor appointments that, I don't, because would you have to come back for a certain amount of time or right now?
Basically, it's coming back for a first hearing, bond gets set, we have
Do
some...
I need my attorney with me at that point, are you saying then, or?
It's, you know, again, I'm not the guy who can give you advice
Oh,
on that
yeah,
because
I
I'm not
just wondering, because I have an important one I gotta go to, because I have some internal bleeding.
Yeah. Generally, it's best that people are represented by counsel sooner rather than later.
Yeah, because I was gonna say, I've got this internal bleeding going on right now. I need to get this next appointment next week and find out what's going on.
For the next several minutes, detectives would wrap up their conversation with Mary Jo, as in her words, she had an appointment to get to. What she doesn't know is that she just booked another appointment, one with the cops, as they come knocking 10 months later in November 2023 to put away this killer grandma for good.
Mary Jo?
Yeah,
Hey, this is Hard Facts. Do you remember me?
well,
Oh, do you mind if I talk to you for a minute?
I got a phone call here. Hey, Max, I'll call you back. Okay. Yeah, okay, bye. Yeah, what did you want?
I just need to you step out here for a second?
Yeah, I've got my pajamas on.
Hey, Mary Jo. Do you remember me? I'm Andrew.
From
We
Wisconsin?
were here last year.
Don't know if I do or not.
Okay, that's okay. I'm not very memorable, so that's okay.
Well, we have a warrant for your arrest, okay? So we're going to have to end up arresting you, and we're going to take you down to the jail today, okay?
I got some appointments. I suppose I can.
You're not going to make those appointments, unfortunately. I'm
I know.
sorry.
I got to call my daughter then and let her know she's right down the street.
We can make that arrangements for you, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But
me
we're
see this
going to
real
have
quick.
to make that call, so we can't have you make
We have
that
a
call.
search warrant for your house, and this is included in the search warrant, so we're going to secure this as well, okay? That's my radio.
Oh, I thought mine was.
Yeah, that's my radio. So this detective right here, she's going to place you in handcuffs, and she's going to search you, okay? So you are under arrest. If you can just step down. Thank you, ma'am. Be careful.
Can I sit on something higher? My back.
Well, let her do what she needs to do first.
Yes, I'm gonna cuff you in front, okay?
For the next 7 months, Mary Jo Bailey went on to face trial. By July 2024, she was sentenced to life in prison for fatally shooting Yvonne Mink, bringing this case to a close after a long, long 39 years. She will only become eligible for parole after serving 19 years, by which time Mary Jo will be 100 years old.